the spiritual traditions of just about every culture that there is, every religion that there is, would say the same thing he's challenging us to do, and that is recognize that we're interconnected with other people. That in many ways, all life is interconnected.
When life throws a challenge at you, one thing is certain: to find a resolution for every issue, every problem, for everybody, there's more than one way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of More Than One Way podcast. I'm Whitney Ross, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Thom Rasnick.
Hey, Whitney.
Hey, Thom, how's it going?
It's going great. Today's a great day because of the guest that we have with us today.
Oh, yeah?
She's my good friend, Meg Sprouse.
All right.
Hi, Meg.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. And she had this video. She sent us, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Right? Okay, so she sent this video. And if you don't mind, I was just going to have her kind of talk about it a little bit, and we'll kind of go from there, if that's okay with you, Meg.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Right, cool. So tell me about the video. How'd you find it? What?
Just one of those scrolling through Instagram, and it hit me it hit me hard. I mean, you're going through mundane stuff, and then there was this just beautiful video of this gentleman talking about what he does on a regular basis and how he lives his life in relationship with others.
Yeah.
And I thought, why don't we play it?
Yeah,
Great.
Let's do it.
I like to go on offense sometimes with grieving. If I see someone that's the same age as my mother in front of me in line, I'll go on offense and I'll be like, hey, I lost my mom and I don't get to buy her stuff. Mm-hmm. Would you mind if I bought your coffee? Right? I'll just live that way. And when you live that way, wow, crazy stuff happens. I had a show in Boston. I went to go get breakfast near the place, and 4 ladies walked in that were about the age of my mother. It's always a little bit delicate because I don't know, something about when you're right next to the venue that you're playing. I didn't want to come off like a big shot, but I had this feeling that was, you should go pay for their breakfast. Finally, I just go give into it, and I walk over and I say, listen, my mom passed away. One of the things I like to do for her is just pay for women's breakfast. Sometimes it would mean a lot to me around her age if you would let me take care of your breakfast this morning. The lady on the left just starts bawling. And she says, I lost my son. He's about your age.
Oh, my God.
And so we stand up. I'm just bawling with a stranger.
Oh, my gosh.
I dare everyone to live and play with it. Grief doesn't have to be something that just hits you when you're not ready for it. I tell everybody that's going through the loss of someone, what do they love? Do they love bread? Their thing was to make bread, set days and make bread and give it out. Go on offense to be a part of it and get this really sweet feeling of remembering them.
See?
Yes, it really is.
That's
just
incredible.
Such a beautiful way to go about life. But what struck you about it? What hit you? Why did it grab your attention?
The way that he experiences life with other people is what hit me. And the opportunity for the rest of us to do the same. He trusts his intuition, or that Holy Spirit that's inside of him, or his gut, or, there's more than one way to say it.
Yeah, there is.
So he goes with it, and he has had such incredible experiences living that way. He continues to do it. It's like a snowball.
Yeah.
He talks about, he just could not ignore that feeling to go up, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Look how he engaged those people, and look how it transformed him. Look how it transformed her, and maybe even the table, and maybe who saw it in the restaurant, or maybe how it affected his show. I mean, he speaks to a little bit that he's a singer, but to me, that's what it's all about. That is, in essence, what my spirituality is all about. How can I be more connected to other people? And he challenges us a little bit when he says, live that way.
Yeah.
What is it like
to
live that way? But you have to put yourself out there. You have to walk up to a table of 4 ladies.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you have to say, this might be kind of weird, but bear with me.
Yeah.
Because the result is awesome. And have y'all had that experience before?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Maybe not identical to the way he's talking about it, but it fits right in. Well, he could just flow right in with the spiritual traditions that we talk a lot about on this podcast. That the spiritual traditions of just about every culture that there is, every religion that there is, would say the same thing he's challenging us to do, and that is recognize that we're interconnected with other people. That in many ways, all life is interconnected. And it's in that interconnection that we're going to find fullness of life. So rather than seeing somebody as separate from me, seeing somehow or another as I can see myself in you, and hopefully you can see yourself in me.
Which is not easy.
This is not easy. Why isn't it easy, do you think? Not just you, Meg. I mean, this is a Whitney Meg question.
Yeah. I think it's just very easy to be, when you think about the number of things each of us did even before we got here today, it's very easy just to get caught up in life. And I think the intention that he puts into living life is what makes this difficult. You have to stop. You have to think. I saw a girlfriend yesterday and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And she said, I'm good. How are you?" And then she goes, "Wait, yeah, I've been trying to do that. I'm actually really good." But thinking about what she's saying instead of just continuing on and just going to the next thing. We all get caught up in that. And I think what this teaches us and what these lessons that historically everyone has learned and are continuing to try and tell us is we so often try and hit those peaks. We live for those peaks. But this keeps us open every day, right? We get to experience these little bits every day, and it keeps us present. And it keeps us in relationship with other people instead of in our head or onto our next thing. But you have to be open to it.
No doubt.
And I think that's hard just because the pressure of the next thing. Excuse me. And they're good things. You've got a list of all these great things that you want to get accomplished for the day. And it's not that they're bad things, but it does take us out of that rhythm of being sensitive to what's happening around us. One thing I love about the video is that as he's retelling the story, he's breaking down a little bit. And I don't know how long ago it happened, but it still affected him. This seemingly simple interaction, and it's affecting the people he's telling it to on the video too. And it affected me, and so I think just the realization that those little interactions are so much bigger than what's happening right there in the moment. They touch a part of us that speaks to that interconnection and reminds us, in the midst of that everyday busyness, what am I missing? What am I walking past? Who am I not noticing that there could be some incredible interaction with? Because I'm going about what I do, and not in a bad way, but it's just, I'm in my rhythm,
right?
And so like you said, you have to stop, or you have to, some kind of intentionality has to happen.
And that word breakdown to me, when I see him, because again, I see it just a little different. I see him just living open. I don't like broken down. I'm doing air quotes. Broken down to me is not what I see. I see him broken open.
Nice.
I think it's more of a positive that he is in that place, has that available to himself, that he can even experience that with other people, in front of other people. He's being taped as well. He's truly living in that place of openness or interconnectedness.
And so the commonality between what you both are saying, at least what I hear from what you both are saying, is this slowing down / stopping the agenda that might be running through my head. Nothing wrong with getting stuff done. Obviously, we need to get stuff done. Yay, getting stuff done. But it's one part of life. And so once again, in the spiritual world, it's going to say, sometimes you have to slow down. You've got to find places where you can do that so that you can readjust your vision of life, right? So if I'm on the run all the time, it's easy to see myself as separate from and different from and everybody else or everything else, because I've got to get that thing done. But if somehow or another I can take that step back, then I begin to connect in. And I don't have to just believe when somebody says we're all interconnected. I can experience that we're all interconnected like he did. Right? And so in the scriptural tradition, in like Bible world, Paul talked about it, and he talked about it on the human level. He talked about it as the body of Christ, right? So this is the interconnection of beings, human beings in this instance, is the body of Christ. Now, he tried to start it with one little group of people that were trying to live in relationship together, right? But he was trying to say, the way to live in relationship with one another is to see yourselves as part of the same body and each your own part in that body. Now, that's not the way they were typically going about seeing themselves in life, just like us, right? And if we can take it from that small group of people and expand it out, which is what I think the guy in the video did, then you can see what happens.
He definitely didn't say, oh, these are like-minded people. Let me go approach this table of like-minded people. Or, these are baptized Christians. I can tell, right? I'll definitely be able to be in community with them.
That's right.
Take it one step further, because I had a funny experience this weekend, having thought through some of this stuff. So it's great to be in relation or interconnected, or I can feel very interconnected to people that I love, or friends that I'm praying for, or stuff like that, right? Do you all know about travel sports? Like travel?
Intimately.
So this past weekend, I'm listening to a stream of my oldest son's travel baseball game. And just so happened, next to whoever has the camera set up is a mom from the other team.
Okay.
So I'm at home getting other things finished, completed, check on the list. And all I can hear throughout this game is this woman's voice from the other team screaming at her kids, cheering along. And we're not winning, okay? We're not winning,
right?
Which it's not about winning. But it was like, golly, she's so loud. Golly, she cheers the same thing each time.
Yeah.
Man, she is really talking up that ump in between.
Right.
And then I took a pause and I was like, hold on. I mean, if you put me next to a mic, I would annoy everyone. I'm very loud. I would definitely be talking to everyone that would listen to me, right? That's my personality. And so I had to take a pause, and it's this interconnected. And I'm like, that's another mom. If I can't get with that other mom, how do I get? She's doing the same. She's in the exact same experience that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I see her. So I had to flip. It was not easy.
Yeah.
An hour and a half long, I'm listening to her scream, right?
Yeah.
But I had to flip my judgment a little bit on that. But I first had to recognize, right?
Yeah.
But I think it is that process of what you're saying. How are we all connected? And if I can't get, if they're not like me, or I don't think I'm like them, or whatever it is, I try and think that's somebody, right? That's somebody, that's somebody's mom.
Yeah.
That's somebody's, she's probably cheering for a kid on the team whose mom's, not there.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to think through some of that stuff. And it kind of helps me a little bit listen to her voice.
Yeah.
And she's, my son's the catcher, so she's screaming right behind him.
Right.
But anyway, it's
lovely.
that kind of stuff that helps me. I have to practice and remember that we're interconnected. And
it's a big part.
It's a big part. So it kind of helps me through. I mean, that's just one example, right? But it's real easy to feel interconnected to people that you're praying for, or, need something, or you love, but how do we come or find common ground? And how do we use this and this story to expand, right? How we love and be in body of Christ or community with other people.
Yeah.
Good question. How do we do that? I think you mentioned it at the beginning. First thing is to stop and recognize. So I stop, okay, and I'm seeing somehow or another this person in a particular way. So he sees the person as like my mom, right? So it would be very easy to separate them and say, well, they just happen to be the same age.
Yeah.
They're nothing alike, blah, blah, blah. But somehow or another, he's able to say, no, she's like my mom. So that would be like Jesus saying, love your neighbor as yourself. Right? I can see somebody I love in that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's one step. Then the next thing would be, okay, then we take it to somebody who I'm having a real hard time seeing in a positive way. I'm having a real, and then love your neighbor as yourself still kicks in, but now it's, okay, what is it in me that's like what I'm seeing in her? Right? So it becomes not love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, or love your neighbor because they're a lot like your mom, but love your neighbor because they're you in some way. Does that make sense? So for me, that's part of how you do it. It's slow down and then recognize what's going on inside of you, like you were doing with the very verbose mom of the other team.
Come on, kid. Come on, kid.
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
That's right.
And then I was like, oh, I sound awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
I think sporting events is the best place
Brings
to
out
do
the
this.
best
Oh,
It
of
is.
us,
That's a great
doesn't it?
analogy.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Because it'll show you what you're connected to, right? The ones on your team, and you can be yay for them, but then it'll show you where to work as well, right?
Yeah.
Mine was always the refs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to work with the refs. They were just inhuman to me. So
Just
it's like, how do I see this person somehow or another is interconnected with me? And it usually was after the game. It took me, you did better than me because
Oh
you
my
did
gosh.
it while the game was going on. Mine, that was usually a couple days after the game.
Yeah.
Right. But that's why it's so important to do what this guy's saying. Keep this in your mind. All the traditions, keep this in your mind. Keep this before you. Another way to see it would be have the mind of Christ. Right? So I can see it. I can see not just that I kind of think that I'm interconnected with people, or that's a nice idea, but that this is the fundamental reality to life. Everything's interconnected on some level. Because we've been talking about it on the human level, but we could bring in other species, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we were talking about that, right, Whitney?
Yeah, we were talking about just animals and the way that animals are sensitive in ways that we are not. Like during COVID, there were dogs in the Miami airport that were smelling COVID and diagnosing people more effectively than the testing was at that time. And you're like, what is that about? How in the world is that happening? Yeah. And they're dogs that like can recognize when someone's going to have a seizure and help them sit down before that happens. And so that's just fascinating to me. I mean, I think it just what is out there that we are still discovering. Yeah,
still discovering, and so it's kind of like what you're talking about when the guy says, "Trust your instincts,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Trust your gut, the holy whatever that is." See, animals will just do that.
Right?
Yes.
Right. So it's just natural to a dog to be connected to. Okay, this is something. There's this thing going on. I mean, so this is my version
of what's
going on in a dog's brain right before. So
profound.
Isn't it? It's like, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go there. But so yeah, the dog's like, what's going on? I can feel something's about to happen. I'm going to help out. And to me, it's right in the line of this guy having this instinct, looking out and seeing these people, reaching out, and then have them go, not only, yes, we'll let you pay for our breakfast, but you're the same age as my son. And how did that happen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's this, once again, it's this instinctual, intuitive energy that interconnects us. And can we tap into that?
Do you guys want to hear a story?
Please.
I do.
I don't know if you know this story. So I'm going to tell on myself a little bit again, because I guess that's what I do here. I had this moment, I guess maybe 10 years ago. I might have told you this story before, Thom, but just act like you've never heard it.
Yeah,
I was going to an early meeting before work with someone that I really liked. I was driving down the road. I was having this intentional prayer moment. I was having a really good day. I don't think I was in charge of taking the kids to daycare, so I was just like in a good vibe, experiencing this high level of gratitude. So I just started praying, driving, and I'm coming along this really pretty area where you exit my neighborhood and there's a little glimpse of the water. And I just remember this gut instinct. This is my first gut instinct moment where I thought, I'm praying this gratitude. But then I changed quickly to this, wait, am I doing enough, God? Am I doing enough? Is this enough? And I mean, it was such a strong, powerful feeling. And I turned the corner and would you believe it? There's a rainbow. A rainbow, wow. Like beautiful, floor to floor, beautiful rainbow.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought?
What?
I'm doing enough. I'm doing enough. Look at me.
Yeah.
God says I'm doing enough. How beautiful is this morning? Yeah. Things are so great, right? And then I go to this breakfast and we're talking about this rainbow. She saw it too. You know, we were doing some community work. We were just feeling really good. Go throughout my day, and I'm walking into my last meeting. So just before 4, I get a call from Chris Hackett. Father Hackett calls. And he says to me, hey, Meg, I've got a question for you. We've been talking at the church and we've got an opening and it's real serious. You'll have to think about this. It's a big commitment to the church. The healing service. We'd love for you to work in our healing service. And I thought, I've been had. I was set up this morning in my prayer. And he said, why don't you talk to Stuart? Think about it. Get back to me tomorrow. This is a big decision. I said, I don't have to. I said, yes. My answer is yes.
Yeah.
I've been set up for this. I was set up this morning. I've been thinking all day. I'm doing enough. And here I am. I need to say yes.
Yeah.
And it's been through that process and trusting that gut and then doing that healing service for however long and praying with people and being in connection with people that I continued to kind of feel or trust those instincts.
Yeah.
Or when something like that hits me, think about it or pause. And it happened to me one other time. I'm still waiting for some more though. Happened to me one other time and I'm driving down the road. I guess this happens a lot when I'm driving.
Theme, yeah.
Because I'm just the perfect level of distracted, I would say. So I'm driving down the road, which is not good for driving. I'm driving down the road and I get this gut feeling that I need to text my friend. Like so heavy that I pulled over.
Wow.
I was taking 2 kids to school. A daycare at that time, so they didn't have to be there on time.
Yeah.
And I pulled over into a high school, probably a half a mile away. I'm real close. And I texted this friend and she said to me, I get choked up thinking about it. She said to me, wow, how did you know? My mom died this day last year. How did you know?
Wow.
So for me, when those moments come, I go for it.
Yeah.
Just
that is so beautiful, Meg. That is so beautiful. I mean, and this is what it does.
Yeah.
It connects us to the deepest parts of ourselves, to what makes us human beings in the best sense of being human. And look what it does. It now you've shared that story and radiated the beauty of that story through not only just the way that you told it, but through your tears.
Right.
And through how lovely that connection is. Right. And that's why I think the spiritual traditions are always trying to get at it, because they're saying this is what life is really about.
This is what's real.
This is what's real.
It sure feels real.
Yeah. This is what's real. All the other stuff, fine. You have to do that.
Yes.
But don't lose sight of this is what's real.
And cool things happen.
Oh my goodness.
To me.
Right now.
Yes. Now, when you trust it, when you're living there, when you're in connection with other people in that way, or looking for rainbows. I mean, it's that level of being awake.
It is.
And I love that your story happened in the car. You know, his story happened in a coffee shop.
And I love that you pulled over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Safety Stu would love that too.
Yes.
I did pull over
But
and call. Yeah.
But I think it's not that you were set aside at a retreat center somewhere
right.
focused on, it happens all around us
and
all
I'm a
the
normal
time.
person. I'm not chosen by any means to do anything special.
Yeah.
It is just available to everyone.
Yeah. But it's the specialness that we all carry of being who we are.
Yeah.
And paying attention to life, once again, that what's really real. I had a friend tell us a story, told Whitney and I this story of when she did pull away. And the pull away was kind of like a big version of your pullover. All right. It's somehow or another had to get out of the day-to-day running and racing because just had to. So we went to this place. It was a Christian monastery, and we were there. And she went off next to a lake, and she was praying next to this lake. And she was sitting. By praying, what I mean is silently staying open to reality, silently staying open to what's going on. She wasn't there with her list of things that she needed. If that's your prayer, cool. But this was a different kind of prayer. Okay, so she's there, and all of a sudden, she starts thinking of a friend, and her friend lives in the Netherlands or somewhere like that. And as she's thinking of her friend, she sees in the sky this red ribbon that's, in a sense, saying you're connected to her and she's connected to you. And then she sat there for a while longer, and then what she saw was like arteries and veins all in a cool way, all around her. And it was almost like the earth, God, however you want to understand this, is pulsating this energy all around us all the time. And everything's interconnected to that. And yours becomes then, and I'm connected as I'm connected into that, these subtle things like a gut feeling I pay attention to. And that leads me to this beautiful thing. And hers led her to this beautiful thing of interconnectedness with it all, with the whole of life. And then that has a behavioral effect, because you go about treating the world in such a way that's very different from, this is just here for my use. Right? So it's the beauty of your story, the beauty of her experience is what I think the spiritual traditions are saying. This is the ground of reality. This is what is going on all the time. And just that's why the pulling over and the stopping is so
it's
helpful.
This energy, and I loved your word energy, because that's what it is. It's me feeling that energy and then I'm giving that energy elsewhere.
Yes. Yep.
So even if you can't feel yourself connected to another human that's yelling for the other team, or go politics, or go, you cannot even get yourself in the same room as somebody. The energy's there. Yeah. You share the same energy.
No doubt.
Start there, right?
Right.
It's in you, it's in me.
Right. Yep. It is. And if in order to try to get into the whole interconnectedness thing, because right now we're talking about it, and maybe you can relate to our experience, maybe not. So if you want to find it for yourself, and it's too hard to do with humans, bring in a dog or a cat. Or if those are too hard, then try a tree. All right? But try it. Try to find out this interconnection and the energy that connects us all. I just don't think people would be talking about this for centuries and centuries and centuries if there wasn't truth in it. Yeah. And all I can say is we're sitting here. It's my experience. Yep. It's obviously your experience.
Mine too.
Yep. So we have it. Patience is very, very important, because sometimes nothing will happen. You won't have a sense. But it's the promise is, if you can just stick with it. And this is going to be different for everybody. For some people, it's going to be listening to your gut, like what Meg was talking about. For me, it's going to be really kind of a daily meditation times that really slow me down and really connect me. I really need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody else, it might be running.
Yeah.
Like you talked about your trip.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many different ways to connect to it. You know, some people might find it in music.
Yeah.
You know, it just
Right.
takes them to a place where they're like, for whatever reason, they're connected
Right.
in the music, and then they're open.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's so many different, you know, just going for a walk. Sometimes it's that easy.
Well, and
or that hard.
right.
Yeah,
Very true.
You know, so
Very true.
it's both
Yeah,
of them.
thank you.
It's both of them. So, you know, sometimes it's, I go for a walk, and I've gone for a walk the same time for a
Mhm.
year, and nothing's going
No.
on except for
Yeah.
and then one day.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think it's less about the result and more about just the awareness and living in that place.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good point. Yeah.
So it's less about, okay, this happened because of, but just what does this open me up to?
Yeah.
And so just more of just like prayer,
Yeah.
just a practice of being intentional with your energy
Yeah.
and aware and see what happens with that. Maybe
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but maybe you'll learn something.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it might not be like a magnanimous, huge
Rainbow.
thing. Yeah. It might just be, I notice that I'm a little more patient.
Right.
Or just acknowledging we are connected.
Yeah.
I think just that itself does something. Yeah, I mean, I think there's energy just in, even if there's no result we see, but just acknowledging I'm doing this, or I'm trying to be intentional because I believe this.
Yeah.
And there's something about me believing it that shapes me and the people around me. So what an incredible thing to talk about. I just think it's so fun to share those stories and those instances that we all have, of those little feelings, those nudges that just have led us somewhere, just to the realization of how connected we all are. And Meg, we're so glad that you were with us, and thanks for sharing that video. I mean, it's amazing, just in something like that, with the idea of you saying, I want to share this,
Right.
brought this whole conversation. So it's incredible, you know, and I would encourage you, as you see those things, you know, technology can connect us in pretty incredible ways. You know, there are lots of different ways that we connect. So thank you for sharing that and being here with us. And we hope that you guys will take some time to think about this. If you have something that this has brought up, or a story that you'd like to share, or if you find something that's meaningful for you, share it with us. We would love to hear that and talk with you about it. So thanks so much for listening, and we hope that you'll join us again.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the More Than One Way podcast, brought to you by the Center for Spiritual Practice in Knoxville, Tennessee. We really appreciate your time and would love to hear your feedback. You can reach us by emailing hello@morethanonewaypod.com, or you can connect with us on social media using the handle @morethanonewaypod. If you found this episode helpful, we hope that you'll share it with your friends, with your family, with people you work with all the people who you know. Thank you, and take care.